Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it.
Most days, my phone is just a tool, something I use to schedule campaigns, approve ad copy, and dodge my mother's not-so-subtle hints about marriage. But that Monday, it became a harbinger. I was mid-presentation in the boardroom, standing beneath a projection of quarterly ad performance for a vegan shampoo brand when my phone buzzed in my blazer pocket. Once, twice, then 3 times in less than 5 minutes. I silenced it with a tap, not breaking stride. As you can see, the CTR improved 23% once we shifted spend to Instagram Reels targeting wellness influencers. Buzz. I clenched my jaw. It wasn't until the meeting adjourned and I escaped into the hallway that I checked my voicemail. This is Officer Preston from LAPD. Miss Alicia Potter, please call us back as soon as possible. It concerns a child who claims you are her mother. I replayed it 3 times. My stomach churned. A child? I called back immediately. A woman with a crisp voice answered. Los Angeles Police Department, how may I direct your call? This is Alicia Potter. I just received a message about a child. Moments later, Officer Preston's voice came through. Calm, but weighted. Thank you for returning the call, Ms. Potter. Earlier today, a 4-year-old girl was found alone at MacArthur Park. She's physically unharmed but frightened. She insisted your name was Mommy. That's not possible, I said slowly. I don't have children. She was wearing a silver locket with your name and phone number inside. My heart dropped. A silver locket. I remembered one just like it, a gift I'd given Diana years ago. My sister, who died in a car accident 3 years ago. But why would a child have it now? I am sorry. There must be a mistake, I whispered. We understand this is unexpected, but we need you to come to the precinct. Tonight, if possible. I stared out the hallway window. The sky over downtown LA had darkened. Somewhere in this vast city, a little girl was waiting, clutching something that once belonged to Diana. I didn't understand how or why, but I knew I had to go. I'll be there in 20 minutes, I said. The precinct smelled of coffee and cold metal. As I stepped inside, fluorescent lights hummed above, casting a pale glare over the reception desk. Officer Preston met me near the doorway, clipboard in hand, expression unreadable. Ms. Potter, he nodded. Thank you for coming. I need to see her, I said, my voice quieter than I expected. He led me down a hallway to a small observation room. Through the one-way glass, I saw a child sitting alone at a table, her legs dangling. She hugged a worn plush rabbit and clutched something silver in her hand. My breath caught. Her eyes, large, almond-shaped, and impossibly familiar, looked exactly like Diana's. That's her, I whispered. Preston nodded. We've tried asking questions, but she only says a few words. She repeats your name and clings to that locket. He handed it to me, a small silver heart. I pried it open with trembling fingers. Inside, my name and my number, etched in Diana's handwriting. She called me Mommy, I asked. She did. And when we asked about her parents, she went quiet. But she trusts you, maybe instinctively. He opened the door gently. I stepped in. The girl looked up, eyes locking onto mine. For a moment, nothing moved, just silence and the weight of 1,000 unspoken memories. Then she whispered, Mommy. I knelt slowly. Hi, I'm Alicia. She blinked, uncertain. What's your name? Peggy, she said. Her voice was soft, unsure. You're safe now, Peggy, I promise. Her small arms wrapped around my neck without hesitation. I froze, the air squeezed out of my lungs, not from pressure, but from recognition. Her embrace felt like Diana's, as if time had reversed itself and gifted me back what I'd lost. Later, as I sat beside her, Preston returned. We ran a preliminary check, he said quietly. There's something you need to see. He handed me a photocopy of adoption papers. Birth mother, Diana Potter. Emergency contact, Alicia Potter. The room tilted slightly. But Diana never said anything. She was married. She died 3 years ago. Why would she? We're still piecing that together, he said. But one thing is certain, this girl is your niece. I looked at Peggy again, now curled up beside me, asleep on a hard bench. My throat tightened. A part of Diana was alive, and she had trusted me to protect it. Peggy slept soundly in the backseat, wrapped in a police-issued blanket, her thumb resting gently against her lips. I drove in silence, fingers clenched around the wheel. My thoughts twisted into knots. Deanna's eyes and Peggy's face, her name on those adoption papers, and my number listed as the emergency contact. How could I have not known? My phone buzzed. Mom. I let it ring. I wasn't ready to hear her voice. Not until I had answers. Back at my apartment, I carried Peggy up the stairs. She stirred briefly, her eyes fluttering open as I unlocked the door. Where are we? She murmured. My home, just for tonight. Will you stay? I'm not going anywhere. I promised. After settling her into my bed, I dug out Diana's old storage box from my closet. It hadn't been touched in years, since the funeral. Dust coated the lid and the scent of aged paper clung to the air as I opened it. Photos, letters, a journal. I flipped through the pages, desperate for clues. April 12, I feel like I'm drowning in secrets. Casper doesn't know. Neither does Alicia. But what choice do I have? I can't raise a baby when I'm still writing research proposals. I have to do what's best for her, even if it means breaking my own heart. My heart stilled. Casper. The name hit like a bolt of lightning. Diana had mentioned him once, briefly, vaguely. I thought it was just a college crush. But this was something else. A knock shattered the silence. I opened the door cautiously. Miss Potter. Officer Preston stood there, his expression grave. I didn't want to do this over the phone. The DNA results came back. I nodded slowly. She's your biological niece, he confirmed. And there's more. The adoptive parents, Darcy and Felix Jennings, they're in custody. Multiple counts of neglect and abuse. Neighbors reported screaming. Peggy was found alone, barefoot near a freeway. She won't be going back to them. My throat burned. Why didn't Diana tell me? Preston's voice softened. Sometimes people hide what hurts most. But she trusted you, even in silence. After you left, I sat beside Peggy, watching her sleep. Somewhere in the quiet, I swore I felt Diana's presence. Not in a supernatural way, more like an achy just beneath the ribs, like her ghost was still here, watching, waiting. And I realized I hadn't just found my niece. I'd been handed the last piece of my sister's unfinished story. The next morning, the air was heavy with purpose. I had barely slept, my mind looping through the journal entry, the DNA results, the bruises I'd noticed on Peggy's tiny wrists. In the kitchen, she sat quietly with a glass of juice, her eyes scanning the walls like they held secrets. Peggy, I said gently, do you remember living with the Jennings? She flinched. They were loud. I hid a lot. My chest tightened. You won't have to hide anymore. I promise. At 9:00 a.m. sharp, I arrived at the Department of Family Services. A woman in a beige pantsuit met me with a clipboard and a professional smile far too calm for the situation. Miss Potter, we appreciate you coming in. As the emergency contact, your presence is important, but this will be handled by protocol. Protocol? I snapped. That child was abandoned, bruised, and traumatized. She's not going back to those people, is she? The woman didn't blink, not without due process. The Jennings are requesting visitation rights. They claim misunderstandings, stress. I shot to my feet. Misunderstandings don't leave scars. A second voice cut in from the hallway. Miss Potter. A tall man in a navy suit entered. My name is David Langley. I represent the Jennings. Of course, a lawyer. Your client's bullied and beat a 4-year-old, I hissed. There's nothing to defend. Langley didn't flinch. They say you're emotionally unstable, acting out of grief, that you're exploiting your sister's memory. I froze. The accusation sliced deeper than expected. You don't know anything about me, I said, voice shaking. No, but a judge might want to. As he turned to leave, he added, this will get messy. I clenched my fists. If they wanted a fight, they'd get one. But I wouldn't back down. I stood outside a dusty records room in a suburban legal office, holding a manila envelope marked confidential. It had taken weeks of legal wrangling and quiet help from Officer Preston, but the truth was finally in my hands. Inside were photos, court transcripts, and most damning, emails between Diana and a man named Casper Freemanter, a name I hadn't dared speak aloud. Casper Freemanter, the beloved morning television host, America's charming sweetheart, and Peggy's biological father. Why didn't she tell me? I whispered, flipping through pages of correspondence. Diana had begged him to acknowledge Peggy, He had refused, terrified a scandal would destroy his career. Then came the crash, and it was no ordinary accident. Preston met me in the parking lot, eyes grim. The mechanic's report confirms it, Alicia. The brake line was tampered with. What? My knees nearly gave out. He nodded. We're investigating, but there's reason to believe someone wanted her silence. My mind reeled. Casper? Preston sighed. We're not pointing fingers, yet. But your sister's death? It may not have been accidental. That night, I tucked Peggy into bed, her small arms wrapped tightly around her stuffed giraffe. Alicia, she murmured, will I have to go live with someone else? I stroked her hair. Never. I'm your family, forever. The next morning, the headlines broke. TV star linked to mysterious death and hidden child. Casper's empire crumbled in days. Jennings' lawyer was unable to defend their custody of Peggy. He lost the battle. And I stood before a judge, holding Peggy's hand as legal guardianship was granted permanently. 6 months later, our lives were quieter. We moved to a cozy home near the sea. Peggy learned to ride a bike. I returned to work, but only part-time. She called me Mama for the first time on a rainy Sunday morning, and I cried into my coffee. Diana's memory lived in every laugh, every question, every sparkle in Peggy's eyes.
Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.